Hello and welcome to this special Today's Homeowner podcast brought to you by American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard. Hey, we're celebrating Keep Your Cool Week here at Today's Homeowner because it's time to give your air conditioning a little TLC. And we've got the expertise and advice you need to do that very thing. With me right now is Darcy Lee, Senior Product Manager with American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Darcy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, tell me about American Standard these days. I mean, every time I talk with all of the folks at American Standard, there's always something going on. And, of course, this is the time of the year where you guys are really, really busy. But just tell us a little bit about American Standard.
So American Standard has been in the HVAC business for more than 100 years. We'd like to hold ourselves to our motto that we have a higher standard, and we hold ourselves accountable to those higher standards to make sure that we're bringing the best-in-class residential heating, ventilation, and air conditioning to the home.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Now, what about your role with American Standard? What is your day-to-day role there?
So my title is a Senior Product Manager. So on a high level, I'm responsible for price, volume, share, and ultimately what I do is I identify the customer needs, and I bring them over to engineering, and engineering helps design solutions to meet those needs.
Well, that's something I've realized over the years, that very thing, is that you guys do listen really well. You listen when homeowners have said, wow, can you quieten this thing down a little bit? Can you make it more efficient? You know, some of the outcries that we've had over the years from homeowners, you guys have really addressed that. The variable speed system and being able to have that low volume and then being able, through your marketing efforts, explaining why that's such an advantage. I'm sure you've had some great feedback on all of the technology that you guys have developed, especially over the last few years.
Yes, we do. We have a variety of different features, as you mentioned, that we brought out, and we do keep ourselves really listening to our customers and putting our customers first. And it all starts with the customer and listening to what the customer needs. And there's a lot of legislation that's going on in the government, and so it's taking our customer needs and matching them up with the requirements in legislation and bringing them together. And then we need to make sure that we're doing it cost effectively because everybody does have monetary constraints, and so we need to make sure that we're delivering those needs and doing them in an affordable way.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. That's one of the key things in making decisions, but not necessarily the key thing. But the educated consumers that we're all working with now, fortunately, they're looking past the price just a little bit and really looking at the features that are available and educating themselves on, some of the SEER ratings, the seasonal energy efficiency ratings, and how important that is, and really asking some high-level questions. But when a homeowner is faced with upgrading their HVAC system, it is a big decision. Give our listeners now some of the things they need to go through when it's time to replace or upgrade their HVAC system.
And that's a great topic, and it's one there's not an easy answer to. There are a variety of different things that a homeowner can look at, and it's going to be individual for each homeowner. One of the things that you need to look at is how old is your current equipment. Most air conditioners are designed to last 10 to 15 years. So if you're in that lifespan of the 10 to 15 years, look at it and ask, how much am I spending repairing my unit? Is it breaking frequently? If it's breaking frequently, those costs to repair can add up. Also, if you have an older machine, refrigerants are being legislated out, and that's going to make future service even more expensive. You had mentioned the SEER rating before. The SEER rating is also very important. The units that had been designed 10 years ago were not as efficient as the units that are designed today. And so there may be an opportunity to replace a unit that is older but working well just to save on the efficiency. And you can lower your monthly expenses tremendously by upgrading to a more efficient product.
Well, we have a great case study that echoes all of those particular things with a recent installation of an American Standard system at my daughter Chelsea Lipford Wolf's home, who is also the co-host of my national television show. She had a system there. She moved into this home. She had a system that was 8 or 9 years old, seemed to be working okay, but then after finding out that it only had a SEER rating of 13, and finding out that some of the energy bills were a little higher than what she expected, because a lot of consumers don't realize that 55% of, on the average, of your utility bill is going to keeping you, goes to keeping you comfortable, year round. So, boy, it's a big factor from that standpoint. Well, she did her homework, decided on an American Standard, had an American Standard certified dealer come out and did an excellent job. Really only took slightly more than 1 day, and she ended up with well, first of all, she stepped up to a SEER rating of 20, and then the variable speed, and then the thermostat wireless controls, which she absolutely loves, being able to control her system with her phone, her smartphone. And what a great difference. Now it's been in there several months, and then we're in the heat of the summer. Now she's seeing a significant savings in that energy bill. Her condenser unit's right out by her patio. It's not interfering with conversation while you're having those family get-togethers. So, boy, when you see a case study like that, it really shows how it can be very effective to drive the cost down, better quality of living, and just a comfort level overall, because it's a lot more even cooling. And I think that's one of the big mistakes we hear about, is people not sizing or having their system sized properly, and you end up bigger's not better when you're talking about air conditioning, right?
That's right. You hit on so many great points there. And because she's benefiting from several different things. So one, the variable speed and the tight controls. When you have a unit that was probably the SEER 13, it's turning on, it's turning off, it's turning on, it's turning off, and you hear that outside of your window. And so you notice that every time it comes on. Your indoor unit, the airflow, suddenly you hear the airflow coming on and coming off. When you move to variable speed, all of that goes away, and it keeps it in a nice, tight temperature. So you're getting the benefits from the variable speed. But then you mentioned the thermostat, the smart thermostats that we have, and the app that you control them. And that's a whole other level of efficiency that you're adding into the system there, because you can program your schedules to come on, put it up a couple degrees higher in the evenings while you're sleeping, turn it up when you're leaving, and you can control it and actively monitor it. You can also use that app to identify if you have issues with your system. There's a runtime history on it. So if you feel like, golly, my unit is just running a long time, and you open it up and you can see how many hours a day your unit's been running.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's another way that you can use it. So there are so many benefits that you just mentioned in that case.
Yeah, and also, the reminders that you have about servicing, reminders about filtration, all of that is really, really advantageous. Hey, we're talking a lot about air conditioning with our friends from American Standard, but I'd love to have you go by todayshomeowner.com/keepyourcool. We've put together a collection of our best how-to videos, all kinds of simple solutions, and a lot of cool little insider tricks to keep your home cool and your energy bill in check all summer long. So again, head over to todayshomeowner.com/keepyourcool.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that really actually matter. Like the gap between your bed and wall that's big enough for your phone, but not your hand. Or the gutters growing their own trees. Or the wall outlet your kids keep calling Sparky. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be your heating or air conditioning. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Now, Darcy, let me ask you this. There are a few things. We do strongly recommend, when you're talking about servicing or repairing your American Standard heating and cooling equipment, rely on that pro. The American Standard certified professional really knows what to do. They're going to advise you properly. But there are a few small things that homeowners should really do on their own.
I would agree. The easiest thing that someone can do is change their filter. And I'll admit I can be guilty about this, but change your filter and keep it clean. And depending on what your filter is, I would replace it with the same filter. and make sure you're doing it regularly. In the summer, when your unit's running more, replace it once a month. When you're going through the fall and you've got molds, replace it then. That'll keep your air clean, and it'll be less work on your unit. So when you have a filter and you get debris that builds up on that unit, on that filter, it makes your motor work harder.
Mm-hmm.
So changing the filter does a lot of really good things. The other thing that you can do is go out and buy your outdoor unit. A lot of people plant plants around their outdoor unit. Go around that outdoor unit and make sure that there's air that can flow into that outdoor unit. Make sure that you don't have trees and bushes up on the outside of the unit where it can't breathe. Make sure that's all nice and clear. If you're a homeowner that's a little bit more advanced, you can go in and make sure the blades on your system is running smoothly, and you may be able to clean your coil. But things like your ductwork, cleaning your ductwork, I would recommend hiring a professional to do if that's something that you wanted to have done. And then, of course, annually having your unit serviced. Another thing that a homeowner can do, taking this on a little bit of tangent, is as you're heading into the winter season, turn on your unit in the heating mode and make sure that it runs in the heating mode before you need that first heat. And then do the same thing in the spring. Turn on the unit and make sure that you're getting good cooling before that hot weather hits. That way you can be prepared when the seasons do hit. You can be prepared and your unit's ready.
Oh, that's some great advice because, we all have that first cold spell and kind of catch you with your guard down sometimes if it's not operating like it should. Really good advice. And again, want to remind you about the special part of the Today's Homeowner website, todayshomeowner.com/keepyourcool. A lot of great information there, a lot of things that you can do yourself to make sure your heating and cooling system is working properly, including all of the things that Darcy just mentioned. So make sure you check that out.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that really actually matter. Like the stair that only creaks when everyone else in the house is asleep. Or the smell in the vegetable crisper that no way can be vegetables. Or hoping those bees just take care of themselves. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be your heating or air conditioning. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
As we said, it does take a little bit of homework and so forth to really get comfortable when you're ready to make that decision to replace that unit. And just like you said a minute ago about making sure that you're ready for winter prior to winter, you also want to make sure you're ready to upgrade that system and you know what you're going to do, especially if your unit is 9 or 10 or 11 years old. Go ahead and do your homework. Go ahead and talk with American Standard professionals to see exactly the type of unit you want so that you won't have to scramble and make that decision real quick. But if our listeners want to get a little more information, I know the website's fantastic. What's the best part of the website to go to?
Well, there's a couple different areas. You can go to the systems and look directly at the systems, but there's also some great educational material on our website, and I believe that there's some articles written that cover indoor air quality and that cover efficiency. We're really good ways to educate yourselves on different parts of the air conditioner that you may not be familiar with.
Well, Darcy, thank you so much. Darcy Lee with American Standard Heating and Cooling. We certainly love to partner with you guys each year to talk about keeping your cool week, and I certainly appreciate you being with me on this Today's Homeowner podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me.